All right, well, nice to see all you guys. Excited about starting Big Ten play for good now, really, between now and the end of the season. Before I get into Penn State, I'll talk a little bit about the national team program. As I mentioned during those games, or after the game, I thought that was a really good team. I thought our team played fairly well. I thought we started a little slow, and I don't know if that was because of the time off between games or whatever, but I thought as the game went on, we played better and better. We didn't score a power play goal, but I did think we moved the puck around pretty well and had some good looks. We got to continue to work offensively to create more and more dangerous scoring chances. And but I thought we defended well. We played hard. It would have been nice to get through that game, especially for Ed, and not give up that late goal. But it was a heck of a play that player made, and he's a good player. And so in the end, I think winning, anytime you win, it's a good confidence boost. It gave us a chance to try a couple things and give some players some minutes that haven't gotten minutes, and get Ed some experience, which is a good thing too. And I thought he did a really good job. Heading into Penn State, this is a team that's very hard to play against. Going into their rink, they've created, in a very short time, a real home ice advantage. They play really hard, and I've told our team since we played them from the beginning that they're a team that plays hard regardless of the score. So I used last weekend as an example. They were down 4-0. Almost midway into the third period against Ohio State, and they just kept going, and I think they tied the score late in the last minute of the game, ended up losing the game in overtime, but it really kind of emphasizes to me the mentality of their work ethic. And the next night they respond and rebound and win pretty convincingly. So they're a team that is one of these teams that really kind of shrinks the ice and makes it difficult to create offense. Last year when we were there, I didn't think that we played particularly well, and yet we got out of there with, I think, 5 of the 6 points, if I remember correctly. So I don't want to complain because that's a hard place. That will be a hard place to get points out of. But, I think right now our confidence is growing. I think our team chemistry is good. And continues to get better. I think while we tweak lines a little bit, we've got some players who are playing with at least one other guy with consistency, which is lending to some opportunity to build some chemistry. So practices have been good. I like how we're growing, and we're going to continue to work on our ability to defend. I think that's been pretty consistent. I'll go back to the game. I thought Hildy did a nice job in the one period he played. I thought he looked real sharp. So that was good, and we got out of that what we hoped to. He'll start the game on Friday, and we'll go back to what we expect to be not our rotation, but our starter. So with that, that's what we look ahead to. We travel on Thursday. We'll practice out there, and then we play Friday and an earlier game on Saturday. I think the game's 5 o'clock on Saturday, and then we get back home.
Tom, you mentioned several times in the last couple of weeks that Rhett Holland has become a very good defenseman, prominent defenseman on your team, and his development has taken up this season. What has he done this season that puts him in this situation compared to last season?
I think Rhett's making very good progress, and I think the differences in his game are, A, he's got some experience now, and B, I think it's more mental than anything else, because physically he's in outstanding shape. He really works at himself physically, his off season, in season. But I think the biggest difference is he's found a better place to be mentally. I think at one time he would just jack himself up, and we've talked about finding the zone, and being in the zone as opposed to being outside of the zone on one side or the other. I mean, you could be too jacked. You could be, too down or not jacked enough to play. And at times, he would get so hyped up He'd overreact to things almost to a point of panic, and one mistake would lead to a second, which would lead to a third. I think he's found a better place. I'm calling it a quieter place mentally, where it has slowed the game down. I'm going to use a good batter in baseball as an example. I'm sure as a hitter becomes better, the ball comes at him slower, And the same thing in hockey. In whatever position you are, the game just tends to slow down as you get more comfortable with it. And I think he's getting more comfortable with it. So we've done some structural things that I think have helped our defensemen get more comfortable. I think we've really focused on some things that are giving them a high level of repetition, more so than ever before. And I think that's helping as well. And I think he's doing things mentally that's allowing him to feel more comfortable. And he's gaining confidence, a game at a time. And now I'm telling him, don't try to do too much. Do what you're doing, because he's moving the puck. He's making good decisions. When he does make a mistake, he's in a better place mentally to recover from the mistake than he has been in the past. So I think that's a lot of progress, and we hope, to keep him on that same track.
Did you sense he was going to make that transition coming into the season? Or were you still up here?
Didn't know. Yeah, really didn't know. I think he's had a very good first half of the season. Probably, if I'm being honest, probably better than I anticipated, which is a real positive for us, because we knew he could be a physical presence, but at times he would run around and take himself out of the play to go hit people. I think he was such a physical presence in junior hockey, and I never saw him play there, and so I'm creating my own theory, but he was such a physical presence. He had very high penalty minutes. He was an intimidating force that I think it earned respect, that created a lot of space for him at that level of hockey, where when he came here, he didn't have that kind of space. So he's making decisions, he's making plays in much tighter spaces, and he's really starting to adapt to that well. And so I really like where his game's at, and I like the track he's on. I think there's way more to come, but even in terms of his point play, I think you can see he's gaining confidence at the point and getting pucks through. Not just, I know he scored a goal, but getting pucks through is a hard thing for a defenseman to do in the game, and he's getting better and better and better at it, and he works at it. So he's got a real good work ethic, good progress to date, and I'd like to see him stay on that track.
Obviously Matt Berry's missed the last 4 games. What's his status right now in MSU and with the program?
Well, Matt was not. I'm going to position it this way. Matt was not meeting certain obligations that we felt every player on our team needs to meet, and I gave him time to. I didn't give him time. I forced him to go reassess life as a Spartan hockey player, and the commitments that are necessary to be part of it. And he's done that, and I'm giving him an opportunity to rejoin the team as of yesterday, and he's going to have to continue day by day to demonstrate to me that he can meet those obligations and do them in a productive way. And we'll give him an opportunity to try to work his way back in, if that's possible. And so to me, it's a day-to-day thing, and he knows that. He knows exactly what's expected of him, and he knows the consequences if he doesn't meet those expectations.
I know you mentioned day-to-day. Do you know if he'll travel with you guys this week, or will it just be...
I haven't made that decision. I don't think that's likely, but that's speculating, because yesterday he met the objectives. Today's a new day, so I guess we're going to have to wait and see. But I don't anticipate that this week.
Probably like Wednesday or so you would know for 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to have to know by the end of the day Wednesday, so guys can prepare and pack to leave us on Thursday. But we'll see. I think he's in a better spot, but he's got to prove it to me every day.
From a team standpoint for you guys, he's obviously a goal scorer, and that's something that you guys have expressed that you needed more of. How does not having him in that lineup over those 4 games and then moving forward
Well, I think Matt has certain skills that certainly can lend to the game, but sometimes we tend to focus on those and not maybe other things. I would just say, I like our team's progress since Minnesota. Our second game at Minnesota to date, we played pretty good hockey. Our team chemistry is pretty darn good. We're seeing things executed as we talk about and work on in practice, to a greater degree. Not quite to the level we want quite yet in goal scoring and productivity. So, again, people have to buy into what's going on. It's a team sport. And we're asking him to do things that are no different than we're asking other guys to do it. And, certainly everybody brings a certain skill set to the table. And, we're hopeful that he can make that commitment and fulfill it and have success. And ultimately have a positive impact on the team. That's the goal.
Tom, you have insisted that you're getting better, and I guess we're going to find out this weekend. Penn State's no slouch. Play Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, and all the big boys. So are you ready for this, and what will this tell you about your team from here in the balance of the schedule?
Yeah, I do think we've made lots of progress in the first half of the year. We're pretty much healthy. We know what our game is, and now it's I guess our ability to go out and execute with a level of consistency every night. And I think there's a lot of parity amongst those teams. There's a couple of those teams that may, have a little bit of separation in terms of the depth of their team. But I think competitively speaking, all of those teams can beat each other. And I put us right into that mix. So to what level of consistency we can perform, that will be the real test. But I'm encouraged by the progress that we're making, by the mentality of our team, and we're gaining experience. So I think those are all good things.
Coach, how surprised have you been at Penn State? At the beginning of the year, they were predicted or placed at the bottom of the Big Ten. They've come out and pretty much surprised everyone. Now you could easily say they are in the top half of the Big Ten. How surprised have you been at how quickly this program has now established itself, I should say?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I think a lot of their coach and Guy Godowski, he's done it before at other places he's been to. I watched him really change the Alaska program and make them a competitive, like a very competitive program in a short period of time when he was there. He did the same thing at Princeton. And so I expected him to be able to do that, especially with the resources that Penn State has come into for hockey. In our sport today, recruiting out of junior hockey in particular, you're getting, in some cases, an older, more mature type of player. And from a physical standpoint, that can certainly help you in the transition. And depending upon how your roster's set up and so on, I'm not surprised that they're very competitive. And so, we know we can go out there and have lots of success. We also know we can go out there and get beat because they have put themselves, into the mix. And so, they're going to go into the heart of the Big Ten schedule now too, where they're playing Big Ten teams week in and week out. And for all of our teams, that's going to present a challenge.
Talk about Joe Cox. He's had a pretty good stretch lately, 5 points in his last 4 games. What has impressed you about him, and what maybe have you seen differently in his game over the last 5 games?
I just think that his work ethic and attention to the details of his game are at an uber high level. He is a relentless worker. He works on all the finer points. Very coachable kid. Sets a very high standard. And I mean, if you watch him practice today, we're trying to get our team to be more tenacious in front of the visiting goal to create more scoring chances. And he's not a natural goal scorer, but boy, you tell me guys who are more tenacious. You know, when in practice he sets a very high standard, and hopefully that can influence others around him. But I just think as he's gaining experience, he'll gain confidence, and as he gains confidence, he'll just become a more effective college player at this level and make a greater and greater impact. So we're pleased with his progress. I think he is what you see him as. He's a hard-working, blue-collar player and leader. And I think he's growing more comfortable being in a leadership role because in our sport, for whatever reason, maybe it's true in lots of sports, oftentimes when you're a younger player or a less experienced player, you don't want to put yourself too out front in a leadership role. It's, you kind of allow the succession to take place. And I have to kind of push him a little bit because he's got real strong leadership capabilities, but he's also trying to be very respectful of people in classes older than him, So he's an important part of our team, and I just think he'll make a growing impact as he gains experience.
How important do you think it was to have the exhibition game kind of in the middle of the two regular season games? There's a 17-day span between the two. So one, just kind of get your legs back underneath you, and then maybe to kind of put that Michigan loss behind you.
Well, we're going to find out, I guess, but I would guess that it was really important because that would have been like having two games between two huge breaks from when we played Clarkson on the 14th to by the time we played again in the GLI, and then if we didn't play from the GLI, what was the last date, 29th or 30th, whatever it was, all the way to whatever Friday's date is, that would have been a pretty long time period. And now's the time. You've practiced so much. Now's the time you really want to play more. I wouldn't mind. I wish we could play 3 days a week. During the course of time, if we could do it rather than always play back-to-back games, just play a little more than practice all the time. But so it was good from the perspective. It broke up the monotony of just practicing. It was good from a productivity standpoint that you win the game, you gain some confidence. And it breaks up the time between games as you prepare for really the home stretch of your schedule. We only have, I think it's 10 weeks between now and the Big Ten tournament. So that's going to go by fast.
And Darnell has been on a hot streak of late also. So what have you seen from his game that has allowed him to make such a big impact on the stage?
Well, when he moves his feet, he can be an effective player. When he kind of slows and shuts down, and kind of watches the game happen, he's not a very effective player, and he knows that. And when he gets tight around the net and gets pucks around the net, he can make good plays. He can get pucks through. He can get pucks to the net, not just to score, but to keep plays alive and to create traffic and confusion in front of the net on rebounds and those types of plays. He's one of those guys that's real good at, we call him a slice. You can be on a bad angle and with your back turned to the net, and somehow he can get the puck to the net and get it into play. So, he's a senior. He's got, as I told you, there's 10 to 14 weeks left in the season and in his Michigan State career here. And what I'm looking for is his highest level of play every day, every week, with a sense of urgency that, there is no tomorrow. He was one of 3 players we have on our team, I think it's 3 players, that, got into the NCAA tournament their freshman year here. And I'd like to see him take on some of that responsibility of helping us have a strong second half to see if we can work our way back there before he's done. But when he's successful, that's what he's doing. He's moving his feet. He's physically engaged. He's emotionally engaged, and he plays hard around the net. And when he does that, he helps our team.
Coach, recently Michigan revealed their jerseys for the Hockey City Classic, kind of retro design. Any timetable when Michigan State will reveal their jerseys?
We're working on it. We've had it in place for quite some time, but I would say probably within the next week or so, I would say.
Oregon's got a few extras if you need it.
Theirs
Theirs is a different green, I think, than ours.
I didn't see any green last night with them.
No, I don't think there was a touch of green, was there?
Looking at, we talked about it after the game, but Matt DeBlau has really started to kind of emerge and blossom a little bit. How much of that's due to mental maturity now as a junior? How much of it's due to physical maturity? Because it seems like he's playing a little bit stronger as a force and more like a power wing.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say that a ton is physical maturity because he's got kind of a, I don't want to call it a freakish strength, because if you look at him in street clothes, it's not like he's this big kid, but he's got good leverage. You know, he's got. I always call guys that develop a lot of muscle mass or strength through the weight room like manufactured strength. His isn't manufactured strength as much as he's stronger than he looks. You know, and his leverage on the ice is part of that. He's got a long reach. He skates well. But I think where he's made his greatest improvement is between the ears, and that's where he's become so much stronger. I think he's got a better focus. I think he's more disciplined than he has been. I think he's more engaged in the game. I think, and I don't even know if I'm right, but I think Mackenzie McEachern has a lot to do with that. And you know, for whatever reason, since we've played them together, Mac has, I think, pushed him in some ways, and maybe even unintentionally. And I think that's helped Deb kind of raise his level. And I was just talking about him the other day that he's not a finished product. He's a long way from that. But boy, I'll tell you, he's a long way from where he was too. So we're getting more consistency out of his play. I'd still like to see him bring it up even a higher level because I think that's in him. But I think his mental strength and focus and discipline has allowed him to grow as a player a great deal.